Hey guys, and welcome to Deku Tarot. So we're gonna do things a little bit differently right now because we're gonna talk about Uranus and Taurus, which is why I have this on my face instead of the cards, because this is mostly something to talk about. Not really something I'm gonna be pulling a lot of cards on. I'll pull the cards for each specific sign and talk about how Uranus and Taurus will affect your specific sign for all the 12 zodiac signs. In some separate videos. But right now, I just want to talk about a general overview of what Uranus and Taurus is bringing because it is really, really huge. So guys, if you guys have been watching my channel, you know I've been talking about this since maybe September, October of 2018. So this is really, really big energy. This is a huge shift, and we'll talk about the past few transits of Uranus and Taurus. We're going to talk about what we can expect to happen, some of the huge, huge shifts that will be coming in with it. Because again, this is fixed Earth, and Uranus is the planet of chaos. It's the great liberator. It shocks us out of complacency on a mental, intellectual level. It forces us to really look at things from a more objective position here so that we can really see outside of our own emotional connections and our own emotional reactions with whatever's going on. So this is really, really big. That's just a little, I'm just touching on it a little bit there. Sorry, running over my words there. At the same time that I'm shooting this, we're experiencing Mercury retrograde. However, I won't talk about that right now because I want this to be able to be resonant for the next 7 or so years, which is how Uranus and Taurus is going to be affecting us. It's going to be affecting us for the long term. Every time Uranus moves into Taurus, we experience some really, really huge shifts in terms of money, finances, our health, everything that Taurus represents. So let's see, how do we even begin all of this? Wow, guys. Also, I do want to just say, please do like, share, and subscribe. It really helps my channel, and I really do appreciate all of your support, guys. So please remember to like, share, and subscribe. But let's get right into this. There's a lot to unpack here. I have a lot of notes about this, so let's get into it. So Uranus, like I was just saying, is the planet of chaos, the great liberator. It's shocking. It brings liberation and change through disrupting stagnant energy. It really throws out our need for the status quo. Anything we've been aware that needs to be changed in our lives, it's going to come up, and we're going to feel this real intense push to finally break free of what is really not working for us anymore. Okay, so this is huge for shifts on a personal level. So for a lot of people, I'm feeling any type of internal shift or any type of internal discrepancy with what you want versus what you're doing, the status quo. It's going to come out, it's going to be shifted, you're going to change. Okay, so just like anything you've been keeping inside that you've been not wanting to talk to people about, etc., that's all blown up. So just like expect all of that to happen. Okay, so yeah, we're finally breaking free of the status quo here. Anything that we thought was like forever, like this situation is going to be stable, static, I'm here forever, like I got this partner forever, I have this job forever, this is what I've always wanted to do. Expect changes. That's all I have to say. Try to be positive about it, okay? Because there's no stopping Uranus, and when Uranus moves into Taurus, I mean, the last time Uranus was in Taurus, we were in World War II. We were right after the Great Depression. I'll talk about that. Again, I'm getting ahead of myself, so let's talk about this from a more linear perspective of how my notes are going here. So anyways, Taurus rules health, body, fitness, are all the material, all the natural resources, honestly, Mother Nature. So there's almost like the Empress energy again around Taurus and Uranus. And if you've been noticing in my readings that I've been doing over, I'd say, like the past few months, the Empress has come out a lot. The Tower has come out a lot. What do they have to do with? Uranus and Taurus. Huge shifts that are just like chaos, just taking everything that was rooted firmly in the ground and throwing it out. Anything that was, Empress energy, we're wanting to manifest on a greater deal, but we're also changing and shifting how we view manifesting and what we're manifesting for the long term here. Our whole view of the long term and what's stable, rooted, grounded for us, for every single one of us, will be changed. So just like be aware of that. Anyways, so because Taurus rules health, body, nature, all this, all the resources, even silver and gold, you know, we could have some changes in the value of silver and gold around this time, things surrounding our earthly materials. Maybe even I personally feel when I was, you know, researching everything and, you know, meditating on all this information that I've been taking in about Uranus and Taurus, I feel like we're going to have a lot of shifts in terms of oil and gas and our natural resources and natural energy. And let's see where that one goes. You know, I feel like we might be switching over to some better and more healthy things really on a global scale for the earth, which we need to look out for the health of the earth, just like we're looking out for the health of our bodies and our mind, and especially our physicality, our sensual nature here with Taurus. I mean, that's really what comes up when, I mean, that's what Taurus is about, is what I'm trying to say here. So again, there's this change, really. There's huge shifts in nurturing, our nutrition, our sustenance, really all areas of growth on all levels and a physical level. Sorry, I hope you guys can't hear Ravi in the background. I'm sure you can see him right about there trying to open the door. He might open the door on his own, and if he does, I will be so excited that you guys witness this, because I've seen him open the door on his own as a cat several times. Anyways, totally different than Uranus and Taurus. Let's get back to it. So again, it's Taurus is Venusian. It's ruled by Venus. It is the ruler of Venus other than Libra. But again, Taurus is obviously that natural Empress Venusian energy. So all the things that we associate with Venus, love, relationships, comfort, sensuality, our physical senses, our physical being, are all things that are going to be shifted here. Patterns that are going to come up with Uranus and Taurus and that have happened in the past few transits are changes in the value, again, of gold and silver, of earthly materials, changes in Mother Earth itself, and the things that are happening on a physical nature in terms of the world. You know, there's a lot of changes in the weather that we've been talking about. There's a lot of changes. I mean, we've seen so much extreme weather lately, especially in the past year. I feel like so many places on the earth, you know, in the world here, are experiencing such extreme, you know, such extremes of weather, such huge things happen. We've experienced volcanoes, you know, we've experienced massive hurricanes, temperature discrepancies. I know that I'm living in Florida, and yesterday it was like 90, and today it is 55. What the hell is going on? I don't know. And I know up north they're getting like 8 inches of snow right now, whereas I was just in 90-degree weather and now it's fluctuating. Like, it's all over the place right now. And so I do think that we're also going to see a rise, and I'm just going to quickly touch on this because I don't want to get too into weather and all that, because I'm not a meteorologist or a scientist. Let me go on my notes on that a little bit, and then we'll get back into some other areas here. But again, I do think that we're going to be shifting in terms of the weather and how we take care of the earth here. We've seen a huge shift in that. We have seen a huge shift in that, like I was just saying here. It's been crazier than ever. And it's going to shift to, we're going to need to really kind of shift here as, you know, the weather gets crazier and things start to shift. We're going to need to shift to a more restorative agriculture, biodynamic farming, permaculture. We are seeing these things crop up, okay, in a very real way. They've been on the fringes, but, you know, again, Uranus and Taurus is all about the mainstreaming of innovations that, you know, were probably happening, you know, maybe even on the fringes, like small things and small movements that were happening when Uranus was in Aries over the past 6-7 years are going to be brought to the front lines. They're going to be brought to the mainstream. So again, we're seeing things like that kind of come up here. We're even seeing the modification of the weather on a global scale coming out, you know, how we've been kind of messing with that, you know, in terms of, I'm not gonna get any of the terms right, so I'm not gonna get into that, but if you guys know in the comments those specifics, go for it. But there's been a lot of things coming out on how, you know, we're starting to admit, hey, we have been, you know, messing with the clouds, we have been messing with the weather a little bit to see how we can control that. So that kind of stuff is going to become more mainstream. We're going to be talking about it. It's going to be brought out into the open here, okay? So we're going to feel this exponential increase of awareness of all the problems. And I cannot speak English. Thank you, Mercury retrograde, for hitting on this exact day when I need to shoot all these videos. But we're experiencing an exponential increase of the awareness of all problems, global problems. I'm just talking about weather right now, but it's going to be everything, okay? So again, in terms of weather, in terms of the health of the world itself here, we're going to experience a lot more of a shift in terms of growing our own food. There's a lot more independence in terms of farming and self-sufficient, you know, agriculture, honestly, because again, the big corporations, the things that they're making right now have no nutrients. Yes, they're pumping out all these, you know, apples, etc. And even if they are supposedly, you know, I want to say vegan, it's not the right word here, but even if they're, you know, supposedly good for you, etc. I know someone's going to call me out in the comments. Thank you, Mercury retrograde, for making me forget all the important terms that I didn't write down. But there is this, everything that we're kind of putting into our bodies right now doesn't have a lot of nutrition because of the way we're creating it, because of what we've done to the earth here. So we need to shift in that. There's a lot of different shifts that are coming out now, and a lot more of a push and a desire for people to be creating their own food, to be making, you know, to making their own livelihood in that kind of sense. Because again, there's a huge shift in how we are farming and how we're creating our sustenance. Or, you know, Taurus is about food. Everybody associates Tauruses with eating too much and living large and all that kind of stuff, eating good food and stuff. But ultimately, it's about your body and the nutrition that you're putting into yourself and how we are taking care of ourselves. So again, Taurus brings up all that kind of energy, and brings up all those issues. And when Uranus moves into Taurus, we're going to be shifting on those levels of how are we feeding ourselves? How do we need to, you know, change this? There's going to be more a shift towards independent growing our own food, small scale biodynamic farms, because the way that it's being done now is just not working. Everything is devoid of nutrients. You know, everyone has nutritional deficiencies, people are getting sick, and it's because the food that we're putting into our bodies has no nutrients, and we need to be shifting on that. So okay, so that's a positive. But on the negative of that, you know, big corporations won't want to let go of this. Big farms, people that, you know, can just are putting all this all their crap into the soil, are, you know, treating the earth badly as they farm, like on rapid scales for like thousands of millions of people. They're shipping around the world. You know, that kind of farming isn't producing good quality agriculture at all. No crops, like animals, whatever you're eating, it's not going to be filled with real nutrients. It's all GMOs and all this stuff right now. So people are starting to realize that, and you know, wanting to shift towards better farming practices and better ways where we can give back to the earth. You know, again, there's restorative agriculture, which is coming up, and I am positive towards that. But again, there's the negative of, you know, big corporations don't want to let go of that, so there's going to be a fight, and they're going to be coming up with probably even worse ways to farm. So be aware of all that. Anyways, so that's what I have to say about weather and the earth and that kind of aspect. But there is just, oh my gosh, there's just so much energy. There's just so much energy shifting here. Like, I have pages of notes here. So let's go back to where I was before I went on that little side rail there. And again, Taurus is Venusian. It's Venus. Said it backwards, but you know, it's very Venusian. There's all the things that have to do with comfort, sensuality, our physical, our senses. The patterns, again, that come with Uranus and Taurus are changes in values of things, in terms of money, in terms of Mother Earth. Again, we also saw at that time, where's page 2? Sorry about that, guys. I almost said this backwards. But again, the few times that Uranus was in Taurus, let's talk about that, because the shifts that are happening now happened the past few times. We had some very similar things come up the past 2 times, and we are kind of in that same boat now. So let me take a sip of my coffee here. All right, so anyways, the last few times Taurus was in Uranus, it always revisits this similar energy, honestly, from past cycles. So anytime Uranus goes into, you know, that sign, you're going to see that energy come up from the past cycles. We're going to be revisiting those same topics, those same situations, those same themes and energies that were present then. So 2 cycles ago was 1850 through 1858, and this was just after the potato famine ended in Ireland. It was also the peak of the California gold rush. So we did see a lot of shift of, again, what was I talking about earlier? Gold and silver, and the importance of it, the value of it being extremely important. Also, this was the time when we were shifting, you know, the boundaries of our country here. And if you're in the US, I mean, I'm in the United States, so I'm going to talk a little bit more about that and its relationship with Uranus and Taurus as a country, because again, I'm from the United States. I don't know world history for every single country out there, but I'll talk about the history that I do know and the things that I've researched about this, which usually have a little bit more to do with the US. So anyways, 1850 through 1858, when Uranus was last in Taurus, was the peak of the California gold rush. California has been involved in the past few cycles of this, and I will talk about that and when I move on to the next cycle as well. Because everyone was trying to go to California during that time, 1850 to 58. There were more people moving to California than anywhere else in the United States. We also saw, again, because of that, we saw a changing of the borders. California became a state, which is what I was trying to get to there. Became a state. We were focused again on that gold rush. We were trying to make money because there was just a famine. Again, food, money, materials from the earth, all huge focuses and themes then. And there was, again, the changing of the borders in the U.S. And what are we talking about now? The changing of the borders, or border issues, or situations with the borders of countries right now. We have a lot of things going on in terms of that. So again, that last cycle that we had after 1850 to 58 was 1934 to 1942. And there was, and I know that you guys are all like, whoa, those years. And we all know, if you know any type of history, not even just American history, those were years of major upheaval, major change, especially in terms of our financial system, our food. We went into the, international trade change, global changes to a financial system were all extremely prevalent then. We also came to the peak. We came into, sorry, I cannot speak this. Also, I have terrible handwriting, so reading my own handwriting is terrible. Sorry, guys. When we came into Uranus and Taurus in 1934, we were at the peak of the Great Depression. Yay, how fun is that? So the stock market crashed in 1929. We were in the Great Depression. The peak of it was 1934, when Uranus moved into Taurus. Yay. All right, okay, so around that time, Uranus was shifting again from Aries to Taurus. And during that time, most every westernized country there really changed its gold-backed standard. So again, there was a huge shift in our financial value on a global scale, on an international scale. It wasn't just America. Everybody else was also dropping the gold-backed standard. Again, like I was just talking about, California, there was more of a rush of people into California because people wanted to, because, again, we were in the Great Depression. People had no money. They were looking for a better place to farm because people were like, I need to farm my own land. If I can't make, a living with a job at this time and everything else is crashing, at least I can make my living and sustenance on land. And because there were so many people trying to move to California during that time, people were literally turning them away from the state and saying, hey, we don't have enough room here. We don't have enough land for everybody and to do what you want to do. So again, there was another shift of everybody trying to get into California again. So we'll see what happens in terms of California during this Uranus and Taurus transit here. Let me shift myself here because my foot is like falling asleep. All right, so again, let's get into this now that I've shifted here. And let me get a sip of water. Well, tea, whatever. Another thing I really do want to talk about was, we also did have the recession after we started to, gain momentum in terms of currency and our financial situation. We did have another recession in 1937. So that was something that happened as well. So I do feel like we're gonna feel a real fluctuation in terms of currency, in terms of money, in terms of our global financial standard as well. I really do think we're gonna see some shifts in that, and I'll talk about that in a second. But something I do want to touch upon here is the rise of extremist political movements because of the Great Depression. People were looking for answers. They were looking for change, for better or for worse. They just wanted change. And where are we at now, guys? People are looking for change. They're looking for somebody new, something new, and people are looking in the wrong directions. They're looking towards communism again. We're looking towards extremist leaders, alt-right beliefs, alt-left beliefs. Nobody is coming out with something that we can all kind of adhere to right now, which is kind of messed up. What just flew by the screen? I hope the rest of you guys just saw that. That was weird. I'm going to chalk that up to one of the animals around here's hair, but interesting. Again, there's a lot of extremist beliefs coming out, a lot of extremist movements, and that is for the worse. I would like to say for better or for worse, but it's definitely for the worse, in my opinion. Let's talk about that a little bit. It was the rise of not just communism, but the rise of the Nazi Party. I mean, in Germany, I mean, it was not, we began World War II during Uranus and Taurus, the last time it was transiting. So we need to watch out for the rise of extremist beliefs. If you catch yourself getting on boat or getting on board, with these extremist beliefs in an extremist group or something that just doesn't seem quite right or seems a little bit too much, watch yourself, okay? Because that kind of stuff is going to come up. It already has started, as we can tell if you watch the news at all. It's begun, and we need to be able to watch out for things like that, because it might seem like, oh, hey, this person's rooting for me, or they have my interests in mind here because I'm dissatisfied with this, but then it grows into something more, and you have to be aware of when you've jumped on a burning ship. Okay, anyways, also Pearl Harbor also happened. We were dragged into World War II in a really awkward window, actually, as we were in the last degrees of Uranus and Taurus. Again, we're going to be feeling the most extreme changes in the beginnings and the ends of this transit, because we are always feeling the most extreme of that sign when we're in the first degree and the last degree. So that's kind of how I see it. But anyways, the beginning and end of this transit are going to be the most volatile. It's really when shit's going to go down. Okay, so anyways, Pearl Harbor happened December 7th, 1941. It was after, Uranus moved into Gemini, and then it dipped back into Taurus, and was there until, it dipped back into Taurus in October of 1941, and it kind of stayed there in that last little bit until about May 1942. And during that little window, we entered World War II. How great was that? Awesome, guys. Anyways, so we need to watch out for things like that in the beginnings, the ends of these transits. And now let's get into the themes now. So those were the past two transits. Let's talk about the themes now. The themes now, again, we're talking about finance, agricultural, global weather change. Again, not political, but boundaries in terms of where countries lie, physical, actual country boundaries. So that's what we're talking about. What are we talking about? We're talking, at least in the United States, about boundary problems, about border problems, border patrolling problems, and issues with that. And no matter where you stand on that, I mean, that's a prominent issue in today's news. People are talking about it every day. So again, we're experiencing a lot of the similar themes at the last transit, but a little bit differently. We have a potential for a lot of disruption, a lot of chaos, obviously, when Uranus comes in. Revolution. I do feel that we are going to be experiencing a lot of revolutions during this time. We have a lot of revolutions in the Venusian sense of the Me Too movement. We have revolutions in terms of how women are viewed in society and the power that we're taking back. And there is kind of a blowback on that. Men are acting like, all women are, all women hate men and all this stuff. And that's just not true. And if we do hate men, it's usually for a reason of we've been taken by them and we've been hurt by men. Okay. So I think it's kind of a strange position to be in, where women are, fighting for independence or fighting for more rights and a more prominent position in society and more equality, and we're still getting the blowback. But I do think, again, this is going to be subject to revolution in 2019. That's just a personal empathic message that I got. I do think that women and our importance and our role and our stance is going to be elevated, but I do think it's going to involve a revolution, a lot of fighting, because I do think we're going to hit the blowback, because there are a lot of terrible people out there who don't believe that, where we're coming from is a valid position. They think that, we have enough and, we shouldn't be complaining, and that's just not true, but whatever. Anyways, so again, the potential for shocking upheavals and changes is huge. I mean, it's going to happen. Change is going to be coming about more abruptly in shocking ways, because that's what Uranus does. There's a lot of forced change, a lot of upheavals that I do think are going to be happening, where people are not going to be happy with the changes that are happening in their lives, and we're not going to be happy about, this shifting and that shifting, because we don't have control over it. Uranus has no control. You cannot control that energy. So again, in terms of finance, let's get into finance here. There's going to be a lot of disruptions in the markets. I definitely feel that one coming. There's been a lot of instability in the economy, a lot of bubbles of debt in terms of housing, in terms of, student loan debt, which is at this point, more than half of all federal student loans are not being paid at this time, because people don't have the money to pay. You can't pay a debt when you don't have the money. Anyways, so there's a lot of debt without any ways to pay it off at this time. So there's going to I would assume, probably a little bit of a recession here. especially, I just think that there's going to be a lot of disruptions and a lot of fluctuation with the market. We're also shifting to, I think, digital currency system, cryptocurrency, more innovative ways that we're going to be trading, more ways that are, again, not decentralization of currency, because that's what Uranus does. It, it takes whatever is centralized and it just goes in and it goes bam, and then it's all gone. It decentralizes things is really what it does. So again, there's going to be fluctuations in global economics, stock market crashes, stock market. Why can't I say it? Stock market changes. I do think that we're going to see currency shift and change a lot in the next 6-7 years. And by the end of it, I don't think it's going to be the same. We might not be attached to paper money the way that we are now. We might not experience currency and the way we hold it physically the way that we will at the end, which I do think, again, we're going to be shifting towards a more mechanical, more technological view of it all, or in terms of money as technology creating money, and not so much of it in a physical way anymore. I said that really weird, sorry. But again, when Uranus comes around, especially in terms of money, things aren't usually, in general, things don't really change in huge ways, like huge shifts in terms of, money, in terms of global economics, in terms of, politics, etc. Things don't really change until they're absolutely necessary. So Uranus, when Uranus transits, it really brings in this energy that's like, us living the way that we are now is unbearable, and this needs to shift. It takes whatever it is now that is dissatisfying, that is not working out, and it throws it in your face, and then it throws it out the window. It says, this doesn't work, and then it throws it out the window. Like some angry type, it's like some angry boss that doesn't like your your last, whatever, your paper or whatever thing that you did, just throwing it out the window. It just says, no, this doesn't work. We're done with it. Like, we need to do something totally different. It's totally different. There's huge fluctuations, huge, again, there's a lot of energy towards currency systems being changed at this time. There's a disruption. There's a lot of just energy towards disruption in terms of our income taxes as well. I do think that we're going to experiencing a lot of protests in terms of our taxes, in terms of our income taxes. We could be experiencing a lot of protest energy towards, the way finances, debt, and, our bills need to be paid here, our taxes, really. Again, I do think in terms of jobs, career stuff, we've already seen this kind of happening. Even in commercials, they talk about it and kind of joke about it, where robotics are taking over human jobs. We're going to see a huge shift in that as well. I do think it's for the better and the worse. I'm not a huge fan of that stuff, but some people are, and it is going to shift our job market, because again, there's going to be a lot of jobs that are like labor jobs or labor intensive jobs, or plugging things into a computer, setting things up, that can be taken over by technology now, by robots, literally. So again, we're going to need to become more resourceful in employment as these jobs are phasing out and being taken over by robotics. We're going to, again, be pushed to sustaining ourselves, which I do believe that we were talking a lot about in Aries. When Uranus was in Aries, we were talking a lot about, where did it go? We saw a huge rise or huge push with self-employment when Uranus was in Aries the past few 6-7 years or so. And I do think that we're going to continue on this, becoming more resourceful as our own business people by ourselves. There's also, again, I feel like I was saying, there's a physical shift in the weather. There's a lot of huge shifts that are coming in here. And again, I just think that Uranus and Taurus is going to shift things on a huge level for a lot of us. And that's pretty much all the notes that I have on this. But again, Uranus and Taurus is going to shift us all in huge ways. Wherever Uranus falls in our chart, expect changes there, okay? Again, check out your readings for Uranus and Taurus for your specific sign. I will be putting those up as well. We're going to be talking a lot for each sign, on the changes that will be specifically for you, for your sun, moon, and rising signs. So check those out as well. I would say that Tauruses and Scorpios are definitely going to be feeling this the most. Overall, this is huge shifts. People have been talking about it for years. Uranus entering Taurus is no joke. Again, the last time we were in Uranus and Taurus was World War II. We also saw a volcano erupt at that time. We saw a lot of massive, huge shifts. So go back during, 1934 to 1942 and check out what happened during those years, because we can expect some similar transits, some similar transitions, some huge shifts. I mean, it's a time of huge shifts, a lot of chaos, a lot of insanity, but afterwards it does see growth on, in terms of the globe as a whole, in terms of Mother Earth as a whole, how we're treating the world, how we're treating each other with more love, more of a Venusian energy. So whatever's happening over the next 6-7 years, it's for the best, okay? I mean, for the better or the worse. It's going to bring up a lot of issues, but we're definitely in a more positive shift, I feel like, with Uranus and Taurus at this time. We might see things, kind of blow up and get crazy and really bad, even for a while there, for a few years or so. But by the end of it, again, I think that we will be able to look back on these changes and say, I'm glad that they happened. They changed things for the better. Things have shifted in ways that needed to be shifted. All right, so guys, if you haven't, again, please do like, share, and subscribe. It means a lot to me. Thank you guys so much for all of your support for my channel. Thank you so much for everything. Please do check out your monthlies, your yearlies for 2019 to 2020, as well as your monthlies for this year, throughout the year, as well as your weeklies that I've been trying to get back to. Check all that stuff out, guys. A lot of important messages there, a lot of important messages to resonate on a more, monthly, weekly schedule. But again, check out your Uranus and Taurus videos to see what kind of big transits you specifically will be going through over the next 6-7, possibly even, changes that will be lasting and affecting you for the next 20 years. So again, check that out. Thank you guys so much again. Have a beautiful, beautiful Uranus and Taurus transit. And again, thank you guys so much.